Masil is not Barooz, Siddiqiyat is not Barooz. So be clear on this one. Fanafir Rasul is not Barooz, Masil is not Barooz, and Siddiqiyat is not Barooz. What is then Barooz? What we discussed now. Okay? If the Ruh is not coming and not residing in that person, that will never ever be the Barooz, no matter whatever else is done. Now I will be quiet and speak as long as you want.
So I think the last sentence summarizes it. The Ruh is coming in a Baruzi way. How does that happen? This is a spiritual matter. It's not possible for us to understand it, but it's not that the same Ruh is coming back. The concept of Barooz that Mirza Ghulam Qadiani Islam has explained is the root verse, you can say, is chapter 11, verse 106 of the Holy Quran, or I believe it may be 105 in your counting. 105 in your counting. The end of the verse says, وَمِنْهُمْ شَكِيٌّ وَمِنْهُمْ شَكِيٌّ وَسَعِيدٌ. That there are two types of people. There's unfortunate, fortunate, wretched, or fortunate people. These are the only two types of people that Allah has created. And then within these two major categories, you have subcategories. So within Sa'id, the highest level is Anbiya, the most fortunate people. And then under them you have Awliya and Siddiqeen and Shuhada and Salihin. And then within Shaki you have the Maghzubi alayhim wal Daleen, those categories of people. So I'm trying to think, how do I explain this to you so that it's I know you're trying to get across a certain point with your presentation, so I don't want to distract too much from it, but that's basically the core of it. Every human being will follow one of these two blueprints. And the reason why we follow the Sunnah is so that we always follow the blueprint of the Holy Prophet ﷺ and become like him. That's our effort. So, so that's what. So, like I said, it's a very in-depth concept. I agree with you. The Fanafir Rasul, the Siddiqiyat, that's our effort. As a human being, we try to be like the Holy Prophet ﷺ. We try to follow the Sunnah. We try to act like him, talk like him, think like him, and have a relationship like he did with Allah. But that's our effort, right? There's a verse in the Holy Quran. It's not directly related in terms of this topic, in terms of Barooz, but it shows the philosophy. Dana fatadallah, right? Allah has to respond to our efforts as well. He has to bless our efforts as well. So we can try and be Fanafir Rasul, and we can try to be Siddiq, but if it's not accepted from Allah's side, then it's just suspended, you could say. But when the descent from above also happens, so you have the efforts from the earth going up, and then the descent of blessings from Allah's side also happen, where the root of these individuals in a Baruzi way also descends on the person. And when these two things meet, that's when the person becomes the manifestation of what you could say that, this person is walking around and he is representing. You look at him and he's like Yusuf alayhi salam. You look at this person and he's walking around and you say that he's like Rumi, rahulullah, right? So there's two parts to it. It's not just because you're doing it, it's going to happen. Like I said, it's a philosophy. It's not it's not something that everybody will understand. So I don't know if that helps you to resolve some of the matters, but it's what else should I say about it? It's very you can either be a Shakiyun or Sayyidun, one of the two. And if you're Sayyidun, you're either like the Anbiya or like their companions or their righteous followers. And if that's the case, then you're either like Musa, you're like Isa, you're like Harun, you're like Ishmael, or you're like Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? Or if you're Shakiyun, you're either like Pharaoh, you're like Nimrud, you're like some other person, right? Abu Jahl. So these are the I guess you could, in English, the best term may be archetypes. And this is a term that's used in English. Archetype might be the better term. Reincarnation is not the right term for this at all, because that's a totally different concept that Islam doesn't have. We don't believe in reincarnation at all. I don't know if this helps you or not, but basically that is the verse that it all stems off of. فَمِنْهُمْ شَكِيٌّ وَسَعِيدٌ, and then from that you have أَنَّمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ, right? Those who are blessed by Allah. صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. And so it breaks down from there. So these are the main two ayah, I would say, as nas that are related to this, that Mirza Ghulam Qadiani has presented in his writings, and then he's elaborated upon them. So, I mean, and then obviously there's capacities. Not everybody has the capacity to be, you can desire to be like Rasulullah in certain ways, and maybe you only have his courage, but you don't have any other aspect of him. Or maybe you only have his truthfulness and you don't have any other aspect of him, right? That's why he's the perfect model. He had all the qualities that the perfect human had to have. So he had all the good qualities of Isa. In fact, Isa alayhi salam got them from him, right? He's Khatam Nabiyyin. He was there before everyone else. So every good quality stems from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is what Allah always intended. He's the Taj al-Mursaleen. He's the person that any prophet, if they were alive today, would die for, no matter what, right? I hope I'm not boring you. I don't know if this is helping you or not.
No,
but,
I basically want to give you the full opportunity to express yourself.
Yeah, so I think in that sense, if you keep this summary in mind, and when someone's speaking, they're always speaking usually at their level. Sufiya, they usually, when they speak at their level, and then you have to understand that they're not always coming down to the common person's language to explain something. I think that's maybe one of the issues that's happening, is that there's an assumption that because he didn't say a word in a certain spot, it doesn't apply there. But if we are cognizant of him and his theology throughout, and we understand his theology, then you'll know that, okay, at this time he is talking about a Baroozi, he's not talking about a literal, or he is talking, that becomes clear when you study him in totality, and you really understand the concepts that he's explaining to the people. I think in all of those quotations that you mentioned, Ruhaniyat is mentioned, Barooziyat is mentioned, Nuzul is. It's a very. I think for me personally, it's a black and white issue. I don't see any way to interpret it any other way. You can disagree with me, not a problem at all. But I think this is why these conversations are important, because maybe we help each other see things clearly, or maybe see things that we didn't see before, or understand things we didn't understand before. I hope and pray that we can have these type of conversations. Brother Imtiaz, if you cut me off when I'm speaking, I would not mind, because I want to understand. I want to hear, right? And you'll notice that when we're talking, if you were to interrupt me, I will completely go silent, and then I will intently listen to you. And I think that's what we should that's the culture that we should bring back into this conversation, if we want to live on the example of Sa'id, of the fortunate people, right? I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a little bit of tangent. Please forgive me, but maybe this is going to be good for the tarbiyah of the dialogues going forward between our brothers, right? We don't have to follow social media culture. We don't have to follow their ways of doing things. If there's a culture online, for example, on Twitter, of shutting down people, insulting people, ridiculing them, not listening, as Muslims, we don't have to follow that culture. We have a higher example to live up to, and that's Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I think that's one of the things that's missing in our dialogues. We tend to, maybe because of some inherent weakness, we tend to piggyback on these other people's examples, and that's not our way. We shouldn't do that. We should be genuine to each other. We should have sidq dil. We should have good faith when we're talking to each other. We shouldn't assume that the person is trying to twist something. We shouldn't assume that they're trying to lie. We shouldn't assume anything like that. I'm sorry, I went on a tangent, but I think it's a good opportunity.
All good. Naseer bhai, because I had this feeling that you were finished on the actual topic, and then I appreciate that you wanted to talk things in like generic things, like how should we conduct the dialogue. I respect that. Inshallah, I will comment, and inshallah, you can say more about that. But let me just inshallah wrap up our actual discussion first. So first of all, Naseer bhai, as you said that there are two verses, or there are two places from the Quran. You said that which are the nas, i.e., in simple terms, that this is where the evidence is found for this concept of Barooz. One, you said Surah Al-Fatiha. I have a lot of respect for you, Naseer bhai. Surah Al-Fatiha has nothing to do with ruh of a dead person coming on earth and residing in the body of another person, and in doing so this other person becoming the Barooz of that person. Why? Very simple, very simple. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, I believe and him to be the best amongst the Sahaba, as is the majority opinion in Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. But I have respect for other people who have some different understanding. But I'm just saying that this is what I follow. This is the majority Ahlul Sunnat position. So nobody would say that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he was praying in the best way possible after the prophets. But guess what? Nobody said, he never claimed, nobody said, we will never say that he was Barooz of any person. So Barooz is a very unique idea. It has nothing to do somebody obeying the prophet, somebody loving the prophet, somebody imitating the prophet, somebody trying to achieve the qualities or attributes of the prophet with the best of one's ability and capacity. None of that has to do anything with the concept of Barooz, with all due respect. Secondly, you said that in the ayah in the Quran which says that minhum shaqi wa sa'id, that amongst them are the wretched one and the fortunate one. Quran says that who are these two people? Fariqun fil jannah wa fariqun fis sa'ir. The group which will go into Jannah is called Sa'id, the fortunate one, the good ones, and Fariqan fis Sa'ir. And the group or the people who will go to Jahannam, they are the Shaki, the wretched. Once again, absolutely nothing to do with ruh of a dead person coming and residing in a body, and so the person becomes the Barooz of the dead person. Brother, with all respect, it is not linked with that one. So these are the two. You said that these are because you are very well versed in when it comes to Mirza Sahib's writing, and as you said that you have read Tofa Golodwiya, which is extensive writing on the concept of Barooz. So that's why you pick these two quotes from the Quran. But with all due respect, they have nothing to do with the Barooz. For example, in one place is, maybe you can remember that, I can give you if you want the reference. Mirza Sahib said that in Surah Al-Fatiha, we are asking Allah that, oh Allah, and then he said that as a result of that, you live in the time of whoever you find yourself in. If you find yourself in the time of the Nabi, the Shaheed, the Saleh, live in their company. It's about living in their company. It has nothing to do with the concept of ruh coming. Now, having said that, I already addressed this, Naseer Bhai, and I will request you as my brother in humanity, please watch, inshallah. I will upload separately to make it easy for the people to watch the presentation on the topic. Masil, to be like someone, imitating someone, having someone's quality is not Barooz. To be lost in the love and obedience of the Prophet is not Barooz. To reach the highest station possible after the Prophet, Siddiq, is not Barooz. So everything you were saying has nothing to do with Barooz. Barooz is a very unique idea. And I presented in my presentation already that you are only born as a Barooz. You cannot become Barooz. You are born as a Barooz. Because Mirza Sahib has explained his philosophy that when the ruh begs to Allah, that's when Allah gives this ruh a replica on earth. And this replica is actually the Barooz of that dead person, because the soul has now come into that body. Anyhow, I'm just repeating myself. I apologize for that. Next thing, the Sirba, you need to consider. Mirza Sahib has said 4 things. And these 4 things are affirmed, confirmed, testified by Bashir Ahmad M.A. Sahib in Kalimatul Fasl and Bashiruddin Mahmud Sahib in Hakikatul Nabuwa. And what are they? That this station, this spiritual station Mirza Ghulam Qadiani Sahib was talking about as being a Barooz Muhammad, this was an exclusively reserved station for Mirza Sahib. Number 1, he said, I have been exclusively reserved for this station. Number 2, he said, nobody else deserved this station. Number 3, he said, Allah has stopped the entire Muslim Ummah to get that station. Why I said this? You are saying that, you have to do your effort, but you can only do so much, that Allah's help has to come. Allah's help will never come, according to Mirza Ghulam Qadiani's thesis. Why? Because this was a station exclusively reserved for one person, Mirza Sahib. Then he gave challenge to everybody. He said that if in 13 centuries there's anyone deserving of this station, come and debate me, come and confront me. So it's not something that human beings are making an effort, then Allah supplementing. There's no such thing. Mirza Sahib said that nobody will ever be supplemented. Never. Because this is an exclusive station reserved for Mirza Sahib. That's the key point here. And then, yes, you remember we said, Naseer Bhai, that when it comes to quoting Quran to back up a belief, the principle is qat'iyud dalala. We have to quote that verse of the Quran which has exactly that one understanding. There's no verse in the Quran having this one understanding only, that ruh of a dead person comes in any way, shape, or form, by the way, and resides in somebody else. There's none in the Quran. And what else is there? Just let me see if I missed something.